Welcome. My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin Up, and if you would like any particular information about the projects and things like that I make here, you can go to my blog at stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. We are going to do a slimline card tonight. I pre-cut some of the pieces, but not everything. So we'll go through this and we'll go through measurements too. Be sure to say hi, whether you are watching live or in the replay. And let me know, how your Mother's Day is going. Did you do anything exciting? Are you still celebrating? And even if you're in the replay, I love to hear from you. So like I said, this is the card. We're going to be doing a mashup tonight between Happiness Abounds and the Cup of Tea bundle, but more particularly the dies. And I'm just trying to see what I did with the dies. I think I set them aside, but we're going to be using Happiness Abounds, and we're going to be focusing with sending many thanks for all of you do tonight. But you are wonderful in every way. I mean, they're all really nice. We're going to be using these smaller clusters of flowers, more particularly this one for this card. But this is so gorgeous. We're also going to be using the paper. I haven't even really gotten a chance to dive into the flowers like I wanted to yet. Oh my gosh, you can't even do a sampler for the paper pack really, because it's almost like rainbow and there's so many different colors and it's all split up along the paper. You'll see what I mean. But the other thing that I wanted to show you was this gorgeous card that I received from my customer Mary. And I just wanted to show this to everybody because this was part of the inspiration for this card. So a little while back I had done heat embossing on foil. And so she put together this card with the embossing on the foil and sent it to me. Isn't that gorgeous? I just absolutely love everything about this card. So Mary, thank you so much for this. This is so beautiful. And as soon as I opened up the card and saw this gold foil, I thought, we're doing a gold foil card tonight. So just give Mary a shout out for this absolutely stunning card. Oh my gosh, I just love it so much. I love everything about it. All the textures that we have going on here, the layers, everything. It's just so beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do some heat embossing and we're going to do some foiling. What I should say, not foiling. We're going to work with the gold foil paper. How about that? But so this is our card. So I'll go ahead and give you the measurements and the colors, and then we're going to kind of walk through this paper pack because it's so beautiful. Now, before I fully dive into it, I just wanted to say that if you haven't already got it and you're interested in it, the Happiness Abounds bundle, the Cup of Tea bundle, and then the suites, which is the Tea Boutique suite or the Hues of Happiness suite, they are all currently on low inventory. And that's what we're going to be working with tonight. So I was kind of sort of rushing it. And I have 3 other cards that I'm going to show you a little sneak peek. I have a pre-recorded video that's going to post a little bit later today. And for anybody who's on the live, you guys will get to see the cards first. So I'll show you those too in just a minute, but let's go ahead. And if you want to craft along with me, I'll go through the measurements of what we're going to be using. So first things first, we're going to be using the Hues of Happiness 12 by 12 Designer Series paper pack. I just wanted to point this out. So if you're new to buying our Designer Series paper, or you like to know what the coordinating colors are, they're listed on this piece that is like the backing for the Designer Series paper pack. So I always hang on to that. So I wanted to work with Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia, and like Coastal Cabana was my original thought. And then I ended up using Mango Melody instead. No, lies. Melon Mambo. I'm sorry. Melon Mambo. They're 2 completely different colors and I'm always mixing them up. But so you'll see here, we have Melon Mambo, Flirty Flamingo, Fresh Freesia. We're going to be using the gold foil for our layer. This is the paper pack, so this is the Designer Series paper. Let me get you some measurements here. I don't think I have my, yes I do. I do have my roller. Okay, hang on. This isn't the roller that tells me every single measurement, so bear with me. So let's see. For our designer series paper, we are going to be working with, it looks like 8 5/8, and then that'll be by 3. Let's see, am I looking at this right? I want to make sure I give this to you. So 3 5/8. Okay, and then for the gold foil layer, it's going to be 3 7/8 by, if you guys can hear Connor laughing, 8 7/8, okay, for the gold foil. And then our card base, if you open it up, it's 8 by 9 and scored at 4 if you're going to do the card base yourself. And if you happen to have slimline card size, I know that this is pretty much like the standard size for slimlines, because the concept is that they fit inside that business size envelope, that number 10 envelope. So that's the size for that. And then this piece here, which doesn't have an exact measurement, I was using a scrap, but let me get you something. So we have 1 inch by, looks like just over 3 1/4. So maybe, should I say 3 3/8 is about probably the measurement on this piece here. Okay, and then we're going to be using our Versamark ink with our gold embossing powder. And we're also going to be using, and I swear I went through and removed anything that was retiring, but just shout this out if I got this wrong. I think our shimmer ribbon is still in stock. I'd have to look and be sure, but I'm using the gold shimmer ribbon tonight. This is the 3/8 one. I hope I didn't confuse this, but if I did, just use whatever gold ribbon you have on hand. I'm so sorry. I'm pretty sure that's still around, but just in case. So we're also going to be using the layering circle dies, and this is one of the scallop circles. We're going to need 3 of these, and then we're also going to be using the teacup die, and I'll show you what these are here. Okay, so these are our 3 teacups. These have already been cut out in those coordinating colors. All right, so I'm just going to set those aside. We're going to do a little bit of heat emboss on those, but this is what that die looks like. And then if you want to do the stamp over it too, you can, but I decided to switch up the stamp to the one from Happiness Abounds. And then this size die here. So let me get you a measurement on this circle, because I know there's several circles in here. It's definitely not the largest. 2.5. This is the 2.5 inch circle. Okay, and then last but not least, we are going to be adding just a couple of the brushed brass butterflies. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys this designer series paper. You have so many options for which one you want to choose. The designer series paper inspired the card the slimline size, because as you will see, it's really hard to choose which piece of paper to use because there's all kinds of colors on every single one. So let me just show you this. And this is the piece that I ended up using for this card here. And I did end up covering a lot of the florals. So if you really want to show off that floral, you could just eliminate the gold foil circle. But I think you can still see enough florals showing through that it kind of has that very sort of like fancy floral feel to it. So this is this piece of paper, but you can see, I mean, every single sheet is like this almost, where you have this whole variety of colors all the way across the page. And so here again, whole variety of floral colors. So I'm going to leave this one here for a minute, but let's go through the rest of them. Okay, so look at this one. Absolutely stunning. And again, the colors just layer in throughout. Let me know what your favorite floral colors are. I would love to hear. Mine is pink, I would say. I do love the blue hydrangeas though. I think the blue hydrangeas are so gorgeous. Okay, so here's another one here. Look at that. Look at that. So for me, like, I want to get as much as I can into a card. I could do a whole slimline series with this designer series paper because I would have difficulty choosing. But if you want to keep them in the same color family, you can just slice them according to their size, because you can see like pretty clearly defined lines here in between those colors. So you'll have like this little slight line here, but for the most part, you could strip this into yellow, pink, purple, and then we have that little bit of blue there. Okay, so let me just pop this one aside. Just showed you this piece. Let me get to the next piece. Look at this one. So Night of Navy is one of the coordinating colors here. I think you could also very easily incorporate that new Starry Sky color. Look at how beautiful that is. And then on this side, this is one of the pieces that I cut, but let me show you the full color piece here. Look at that. Okay, and then we have this piece here. And again, this isn't the full color piece because I was trying to do one of these, and I was trying to get all the colors, but it really just was not doing it justice. Okay, so I really particularly love seeing the flowers in like the more unusual shades. And I like the way that they've tipped all of these flowers in like lighter colors. I think that that's so pretty. And then let me see, here we got this last piece here. Look at the yellow. Look at that. Is that gorgeous? Could do a whole set of cards just like that. So you can pick, you know, whatever designer series paper is kind of calling out to you, whichever your favorite florals are. I'm going to use this piece again, and we're going to kind of recreate the card just about the same. So I'm going to grab a piece of the Flirty Flamingo cardstock for our card base. I think that Fresh Freesia would be really pretty too as a card base. Okay, and let me just get my paper trimmer here. And I'm going to set my card aside for a second, and we'll do some of our measurements. And then we'll start stamping. Okay. Have you guys ever made slimline cards before? If you're here live or even in the replay, let me know. I'm going to open the arm of this really quick. Hang on one second. I'm always cramped for space here. I did get out my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine though. I was really proud of myself. Okay, here we go. All right, so what we want to do, I'm going to cut to 9 inches. Save this piece. This is a perfect size for your teacup. So you can use the little leftover piece to cut out your teacups, okay? So hold on to those. And then we're going to cut to 8 on what would have been the 8.5 inch side. We're just going to trim that down. And then we're going to score it at 4 inches. So on the side where you cut to 8, make sure that's the same side that you score at 4 inches for your slimline. Okay. All right, so I'm going to set that aside for a minute. Now let me grab my designer series paper, and then also I'll get my gold foil. So you can decide. I'm going to kind of keep to the same pattern because I already cut my teacups for those shades. But you could cut whichever, you know, the colors you prefer. So just keeping in mind that sizing of, you know, 4 by 8. I'm going to cut this to, it was 3 5/8, I believe. Three and 5/8 by 7 and 5/8. I think. I hope. Wait, hang on. Let me make sure. That might be wrong. Hold on. Yeah, our card size is 9, not 8. I'm so sorry, you guys. The 8 is the size that we scored. And this is why I don't do fancy cards. But it's going to be to the 9 inches. So hang in there just one second. It's 8 and 5/8. I knew that looked short because I was like, I got some of the purple in there. So I knew that couldn't be right. Okay. This is why I like to put Post-its on everything too, because that way you know you're not going to go wrong. All right. And now let's do our gold foil piece. Cutting gold foil is just, it's so beautiful. Okay. And now for our gold foil, we're going to do the 7/8 measurements. So we're going to do the 3 7/8. Going to handle this gently. 3 7/8 by 8 7/8. I'm doing it again. Want to cut at 7 for some reason. Okay, 8 7/8. All right. And let's just do a little layering measurement check here. Let's just see how this looks. That looks correct. Let me get my card base. Let's fold this over. I'm going to score it just really quickly here, or get a nice crisp edge with my bone folder. And let's see how that's looking. This looks right. Everything looks good. Okay, and I'll make sure I get measurements up on the blog for you guys. So we're going to cut a piece of ribbon, and again, I like to have enough that you can wrap it around the edge of the designer series paper. So I'm just going to snip it off here, and I'll give you guys a rough measurement on what that is for the ribbon. So it looks like we're at about 11 inches for the ribbon, and that might be a little bit generous. You could cut less, but I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. And then we have our die cut pieces here. We have our 3 die cut circles, layering circles with the scallops. And now let's do a little bit of stamping. Oh, you know what I forgot while we were cutting? Let me just cut. I'm going to just trim down a piece for our sentiment as well, just so that we have all of our pieces cut. Okay. So I said 1 inch. And we can take a look at our stamp too, but I think I said 1 by 3. And let's see, that's 3.5. Let me get my stamp just really quickly, you guys. And let's just get a feel for that. I think that that's good. So I'm going to cut it here. And let's see if I got that close or if that's short. Yep, that's right. This one's slightly bigger, but not too bad. So I think it was 3 3/8 was this size. This one is 3.5. Okay, so not too bad, not too big of a difference. All right, so we have that piece cut too. Let's see how we do. So we're going to get our teacups here. And I'm just going to use an anti-static tool on each of the teacups. We're going to use it on this for our sentiment too, but we're going to do it in like a couple of parts. Just to be safe, I'm going to do the heat embossing in 2 steps because I heat emboss 2 areas of the teacups. And you can do it in 1 pass if you're feeling confident. For me, I touch everything with my fingers, and then, you know, we get heat embossing powder everywhere. So just to be on the safe side, we're going to do this in 2 passes. So the first pass is going to be the stamped flowers on each of the cups. And then the second pass is going to be this gold edging, which I always think of on those classic like little tea sets there. And then we'll do our sentiment. So we're going to use this one here. I decided to do less rather than more stamping. You guys can let me know if you would, you know, think or use like florals all over the card, or not all over the card, but all over the teacups. For me, I thought just 1 pattern kind of like on each makes them look uniform like a set. So I just sort of focused like towards the center of the cup so that like the little tip of the flower bouquet here is slightly off. So just a slight angle there. And you can see that, hopefully you guys can see that pattern. And then we're going to do that same exact thing on these 2 too. literally holding the die by the handle, the die cut. There we go. Okay, now for the second part of this, I kind of did this the really kind of like lazy way. If you have a line stamp or like a thicker stamp, you can certainly use that to get like a nice crisp edge. What I did was just kind of right here where this little notch is, I just lined it up with the actual stamp pad and just kind of stuck it down. Okay, so that's what we're going to do with all three of these. And it doesn't bother me if the line is not perfect, but if you want a perfect line, I would say if you have a set that has a nice, you know, perfectly straight line, just use that instead. So my hope is not to get it on the handle, but of course, if you'd want to heat emboss the handle too, you could do that. So I'm just gonna set this down and I'm just kind of putting pressure on the back of the cup, hopefully getting some ink there. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. And now I'm going to do that with these two too. So I'm just going to run my embossing buddy over the edges there. I'm going to try to keep it off of the handle. Now, even if you weren't doing all the teacup layers, look at how beautiful this is. Okay. All right, so now we have this layer here. Now, if you were doing a simpler version of this and you just did that and maybe like a gold bow right here, or maybe you did like a centerpiece floral layer with the heat emboss, it would be so pretty. But we're going to go ahead and build this out. So we're going to do our three layered circles. And on this one, I brought my ribbon up a little bit higher than it is on the original card. So you can just be mindful of that just in case you don't want the circle overlapping. I think it's totally fine. But we can, you know, be mindful of that. We can also make our sentiment a little bit lower. I'm going to try to kind of layer it a little bit. So I'll make sure that I put my teacups just a wee bit higher on this one. So we're just going to set these down. And what I'm trying to do with my circles is on the two edge circles, like get really close to the edge there so that we can kind of show off some of this in the middle. And just try to make that look as even as I can. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will see you guys again on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. So thanks so much, everybody. I'll see you again later. Bye bye.